As many of you are undoubtedly aware, on Saturday the 27th of October, Robert Bowers walked into the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh and shot and killed 11 people. Robert Bowers is a prick, a coward, scum of the earth. Now that I've said that, let's talk about the fallout and Gab. I know a number of people have made their opinions quite clear, but I have yet to do so. So I thought, let's talk about that. On October the 29th, Gab put out on Twitter a statement which says Gab.com is under attack. I thought it was Gab.ai. Doesn't matter. We have been systematically no-platform by app stores, which has been known about for quite some time. Which, of course, does not mean for a second that big tech is in any way trying to dictate where people go to have their, quotes, free speech. Multiple hosting providers, which we'll get to soon, and several payment processors, which is something that has happened to other alternative outlets like BitChute. And how could we forget Maker Support, which I literally just remembered on the spot because I had actually forgotten they existed and that I had an account with them, and that Stripe were dicks to them much like BitChute, for reasons I just don't care about. We have been smeared by the mainstream media, which we will get to again much like the multiple hosting providers part soon enough, for defending free expression and individual liberty for all people, and for working with law enforcement to ensure that justice is served for the horrible atrocity committed in Pittsburgh. It is important to point this out now, that while Gab was defending free expression, it wasn't so long ago you were openly stating why you would ban lolly. Is it lolly porn? Lolly? That really bad stuff that many would say is 1 degree of separation from paedophilia. Granted, you used US law to, quotes, defend yourself, but many managed to debunk that, citing it as not entirely accurate. So I thought I'd point this out now because somebody else may well do so in the comments below. Gab will continue to fight for the fundamental human right to speak freely. Good. As we transition to a new hosting provider, best of luck with that, Gab will be inaccessible for a period of time. Well, that's a shame. I share my videos there. I remember the first time it got taken down. People were telling me in the comments, it's down, but I was able to post my video that day. There are many people who've been taken off Twitter, who then went to Gab. Blonde in the Belly of the Beast is one very prominent YouTuber I can remember that uses it frequently, along with Matt Christensen, although I believe he's on Twitter. But then you also have Alex Jones, the entertainer, let's call him that. They went there because it was another option to not have to use Twitter, because even though Twitter is still quite popular, and is also simultaneously a dying platform, something which Jack Dorsey does recognise, but is not willing to do anything about, that isn't him just blocking, banning and suspending people for inane things. The point I was trying to make there is that Gab was another viable option to Twitter for those that wanted to air their opinions in a politically charged environment that Twitter has an area of that Jack does recognise, without continually being reported, flagged and suspended, or just being banned cause, which is what pushed a number of people away from Twitter to begin with. I use Twitter to post videos and rarely tweet about anything of interest. I rarely ever get into a disagreement because I can't be bothered. When you are character limited, your only option is to do what Bunty does, which is video responses, or quote retweet in the vain hope that your followers will help you if you believe you are unable to win or can't be bothered to. And then there's the third and final option of simply just doing nothing like I do. Gab, though, with all its flaws, is an option available to those to continue their discussions. And yes, obviously, Gab has quite, many would say, a right-leaning audience. And that's because most of them have been pushed off Twitter. So if they want to continue their character-limited discussions, where else are they going to have them? When Gab was first introduced, I supported Gab because I thought, it's a good idea. I like the logo. I even liked the alert of the ribbit. In my mind, it had, until it's back up, had is the correct word, the potential to grow. But, as many conspiracy theorists will say, this removal of Gab does look like, to many people, a targeted attack on alternative media. It is further supported by many different things in many different areas of the internet, where people are being silenced, removed, with inadequate explanations, where people are having themselves shut down essentially. to the point where their presence on the internet is gone, which then brings up the question of free expression. Now, in many cases when it comes to private companies, they have terms of service, and they can then scapegoat their removal of someone by saying they breached terms of service, but not for the most part by providing a sufficient answer to explain it. What made Gab so unique was that this rarely happened. If you ignore the lolly thing, which brings up many questions about that particular type of imagery, for the most part, Gab fell under the bracket of almost absolutist in its free expression. So when Robert Bowers went into the synagogue and killed 11 people, and Gab, to many people, were scapegoated as a problem because they allowed it to exist on their platform, what he had said to exist on their platform, all the opportunity and services that they had available being removed from them cemented the belief that while many people wanted to simply move to other services, which is what some companies will suggest, by having them removed, it reinforces the notion that they just want to get rid of you from the internet by shutting Gab down, the alternative media outlet. And this should raise many questions for other companies that are trying to grow, including companies like BitChute. As fantastic as BitChute is for the way it works and how it's improving, they should be equally concerned. Then again, they have already been concerned with payment issues arising with Stripe anyway. Another argument that has been raised that makes you wonder whether or not it is big tech trying to silence smaller growing companies, monopolizing what already exists on the internet. You have to take into account here that if what Robert Bowers did was the reason, the straw that broke the camel's back in this instance, that got Gab shut down, you have to then fall back and think really hard about other people that have committed truly atrocious crimes and used social media as a venting platform to air their opinions, to say things that are heinous, disgusting, and actually criminal when you think about it without a political lens. Simply look at it as if you are blind. You are the law. The law says one thing, and what you have put out on social media breaks the law. I can think of a few people that fall into this bracket. If Gab has its services removed because of Robert Bowers being the straw that broke the camel's back, but of course at the same time because of members of the fringe right existing on a Twitter-like service, then surely YouTube should go down because of Elliot Rodgers. Twitter, for many, many people, as earlier stated, Jack Dorsey accepts the political wing of Twitter is highly charged, and it is quite aggressive. The same could be applied to Facebook, but then again Facebook is rather unique. I saw a meme that made me chuckle. It had a picture of Julian Assange, treated like a criminal for releasing information, and then a picture of Zuckerberg, where it says he sold secrets and was treated like a hero for it. Although I think Julian Assange possibly raped someone, so that might be why he's treated like a criminal. I know there's more to it than that, but it was just a meme, and it made me chuckle. The point is, the whole point. Gab was an alternative media source, taken down because many believe of what Robert Bowers did. If this is guilt by association, as many are saying it is on YouTube and in news sources, then it is right to say that other services, social media outlets, if we're doing guilt by association here, should also be removed because of what someone did on their site. But as we all know, that's not the case because many of the social media sites work with governments in that they then can police things better. We know Facebook does this in some countries. We know Google is starting to do it. Twitter obviously does it. It's well established. Even Dorsey admits Conservatives aren't exactly welcome at his company. If they are there, they don't tell anyone they're there. They are the chameleon. So it's not hard to believe when a new thing comes up, even something that had become somewhat flawed like Gab, which I still believe should remain, although maybe they should address those remarks that Bowers put there. Support the fact they have the right to stay there, but work with the FBI by providing all the data they request. I think they've already done that though. Since all this has happened, and to move on from whatever it was I was trying to say then, because honestly I lost my train of thought, Gab has been quite active on Twitter, which I find fascinating by the way that Gab has a check mark there. I don't know, there's something amusing about Gab using Twitter to get its message across. I'd understand at the same time, but also that it has a check mark. been very active and vocal against what has happened. Nothing wrong with that. When you lose something that you have invested so heavily in, you have every right to vent. I honestly believe Gab should set up a YouTube channel. One of the tweets that caught my attention, that I'm going to finish this video on, is "No platform us all you want, ban us all you want, smear us all you want. You can't stop an idea. Gab.com and the people will rise." Honestly, I'm surprised you weren't banned or suspended for inciting hate with that message. Although I do tend to agree with the message as a whole, minus the people will rise, that's pretty cringy. Anyway, this all aside, and just make it quite clear, I don't think Gab should have been removed, but I understand why companies want to distance themselves from it, because of how highly charged politics has become, or always has been, but with social media, it feels bigger, and people are frowned upon for their beliefs, which is sad really. So moving on from that, Prime Minister's questions should be on today. If it is, 9:30 PM GMT on the Cthulhu-Kin and Friends show, I will be doing a Prime Minister's questions response. I'm still contemplating whether to change that channel name just to Moist Ski Live. I think that'd be funny. I'm thinking about it. Anyway, so I hope everyone has a lovely Wednesday, and thank you all for listening.